10 Questions with Kyle Brandt on The Ringer and Spotify, back here on The Rich Eisen Show. How are you, sir?
Rich, in addition to a myriad of options you present to your viewers and listeners, I'm on the Peacock right now. I'm excited. I'm very excited.
You're on the Quadcast, which is what I'm calling it, Kyle. I don't know who else is calling it that, but, when you're on linear cable and streaming, as well as satellite radio and terrestrial radio, there's just not enough ways for me to disseminate pertinent information. It's essentially what I'm saying.
It's fantastic. I've always wanted to share the same vessel as the great Kevin Costner, which I do now. We're a Yellowstone family, and he also can be seen on the Peacock, so I'm fired up, Rich.
Look at you, Kyle. There's no I in Kyle, but there is a Y, but I don't know what that means. Look, man, as you know, in this business, when you're asking questions, normally you'd like to know the answer beforehand. You did the head nod as Kirk Cousins says, "If I die, I die." Like he went Drago on you. What? That was quite something.
Yeah.
When did you interview him, by the way?
It goes back a few weeks, Rich.
Okay.
And Kirk is kind of an old buddy. Like we're both from the Chicago suburbs. We have a lot of the same dad humor. So he came on and. We stumbled into that topic. That's not something that I had in my bullet points or my planned questions or anything. And we started talking about, because this is a few weeks ago, like I said, what do you think the facility is going to be like, Kirk, in this corona world? And he said, well, I think there's going to be a dichotomy of some guys who couldn't care less, some guys who were really into it. And he mentioned something about masks. And so I just threw it out of left field. I just said, scale of 1 to 10, Kirk. Everybody has a number. What's your mask sensitivity? Are you a 1 where you don't care and think it's pointless, or 10, you're never leaving the house again and you're really nervous? And he says 0.00001, which I was really surprised by. And I think to your great credit here, Rich, on the show with you and the staff, I liked that you played the full soundbite because it's gotten real clickbaity today. And it's just basically been boiled all the way down to if I die, I die, which, as you said, the worst thing you want to give the Internet is a well-worn Ivan Drago trope that they can run with and Photoshop Kirk Cousins' head onto giant Soviet shoulders. So they've done it. It's left the barn. I was very surprised at the time he said it because it's kind of a hard quote to follow. I think his bottom line is, I don't really wear masks for myself, and I'm comfortable, but I do it so that other people are comfortable, and that's how I get down. I think that's what he means.
Yeah, it's what he's. Well, I mean, it was one of those where I didn't quite follow, but we do know that there's a large part of our population that is mask averse, and I'm not one of them. And the fact is that the NFL and the Players Association have essentially been advocates for wearing masks, as has pretty much anybody who's an athlete, I guess, in many ways, to make a living, because that's the way that we can possibly have sports. So to hear somebody of Kirk's stature say that, it was a little jarring to me. I'm not going to lie, but I was at least pleased to hear that he said, and this is no virtue signaling or anything like that. And you've been very, you had a video a couple weeks, if not a month ago, talking about the importance of mask wearing that went very viral, if I'm not mistaken. I was at least pleased to hear him say that he does it for the comfort of others and also to make sure that he might not be inadvertently getting anyone else sick.
Yeah, I mean, Rich, we have a big mask household here. We don't leave the house. We don't get the mail. We don't do anything without it. But I think you tapped into what is really reverberating with this. If an athlete just said something that pissed people off, that's a dime a dozen, and people, have their pound of flesh and they get mad about it. What's interesting about this is that if you go into the social media hallways where this is reverberating, there are thousands of people who are tweeting things like, my respect for Kirk Cousins just skyrocketed. Finally, somebody said it. Now here's an athlete I can finally agree with. It's not just this one-sided thing. There are countless masses of non-maskers or of champions of the non-mask who are now rallying behind the quote. We can't fall into thinking that just because you and I wear masks that everyone does. Kirk Cousins is not being torn apart unilaterally for this quote. In fact, in some circles, he's being championed.
Kyle Brandt here on The Rich Eisen Show, one of the quartet on Good Morning Football every day on NFL Network, and now the host of 10 Questions with Kyle Brandt, The Ringer and Spotify is how you can get that. Great chat with Paul Rudd last week. Just a delight. I mean, he is one of the most delightful human beings on the planet, as you know. And I did not know that story about him with Neil Diamond. Would you please care to reveal that for those who might not have heard that story that you got from Paul?
Yeah, the great Paul Rudd, as many actors did, started some jobs that he wasn't really thrilled with, and he used to be a DJ, primarily at bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs.
Mm-hmm.
But he said he did one 40-year-old birthday party, and part of his obligations as the DJ is to do a little table work, to work the room, to make sure everyone was having a nice time. So he played a little Wang Chung and stepped away from the DJ booth, and he said that by some coincidence, Neil Diamond was an attendee at this party. So he walks up to Neil Diamond and says, Mr. Diamond, are you having fun tonight? And he said, yes, I am. And he said, well, more importantly, are you wanging Chung tonight? And Neil Diamond, without blinking, says, well, I always try to wang Chung anytime I go out to a party. It's very important. And it just deadpans it. Total badass, does not miss a beat. It was the perfect Gary Payton to Sean Kemp alley-oop from the guy who would become Brian Fantana and Ant-Man to the guy who sings Forever in Blue Jeans. That's history right there.
Oh my gosh, just fantastic. Never thought there would be, and that's why a pod like yours is great, and why I'm sure again Simmons was attracted to the whole concept is that to have Paul Rudd, Neil Diamond, Wang Chung, and DJing all in one story. That's the good stuff right there.
Oh, it's the greatest.
You know, and so who is coming up on your pod?
Well, so we've done Aaron Rodgers batted leadoff.
Yes, indeed.
Then we had Tyrann Mathieu, then Paul Rudd, and now Kirk Cousins. And now we're into kind of parts unknown, Rich. You understand this.
Okay.
I've told you this for years. Mm-hmm. I think you still have one of, if not the best book shows in the industry. Every time I'm invited to come on, I'm like, what, did Daniel Day-Lewis pull out or something like that? Did a spot open up? So you get the deal here.
Right.
And now I'm just, we have an episode due next Wednesday, and we have none recorded and nobody booked.
OMG.
So I'm out there casting the nets and chumming the waters.
Okay. So if you booked the starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears week 1, who would that be?
I think it's going to be Mitch.
Of course it is. Come on, you and I both know it is. Come on.
Here's why it might not be. I got a thought on this, Rich, and hear me out. And this gets into the psyche of Bears fans and also of Matt Nagy. The question, there's two questions. One, who's going to start, of course. But then the big question as they get prepared to play Detroit week 1, how long is the leash here? When does the shepherd's hook come out? I mean, we've seen guys start week 1 and be benched at halftime. If Mitch Trubisky starts, and let's say they lose to Detroit, let's say he doesn't play great, is there already a fervor in Chicago? Because this is no ordinary backup quarterback. This is the guy with the statue who makes miracles when he comes off the bench. I think if Foles wins the job, I don't think there's a clamoring for Mitch, even if Foles struggles. The Bears fans have seen Mitch. They know what he is and what he isn't. But if Mitch wins it, there's a very small margin of error before the put-in the statue guy off the sideline comes in. That question is going to be just as important as who starts.
But if we're talking, and we are obviously talking about, if we're talking about what's easiest to start with and then not go, and then what's most difficult to pull the plug on, obviously it's more difficult to pull the plug on Mitchell than it is on Foles. And it's much easier to start Foles in regards to, okay, this is a guy who won the Super Bowl, and we're going to try and win football game. We're going with a guy who gives us the best chance to win. But if it's most difficult to pull the plug on Trubisky, you can't do it prior to week 1. You just flat out can't. I think that the Bears still, deep down, whether it's Ryan Pace, I don't know if it's Nagy anymore, but it's Ryan Pace or it's, the ghost of Papa Bear. I don't know what it is, but they are just still hoping against hope that Mitchell Trubisky, the guy that took such a major leap forward in the year that Nagy won Coach of the Year for it, they're hoping that guy's still there. And that they cannot say, let's just go with Nick Foles right here. I don't think that's the case, Kyle. That's where I'm going.
It could be Pace. It could be George Halas. But the case for Foles here to win the job is Nagy saying, screw it. I'm done. I did not draft Mitch Trubisky. I was in the Chiefs room when they took Mahomes and they took Trubisky. I married into this one. This is my stepchild. I love him. but I am not Mitch Trubisky's father. This is not the guy I drafted, and I'm not messing around this year. I'm not doing 8-8. I'm not doing 9-7. I brought Foles here because I got a history with him, and I'm done with Mitch. If he says that, I could understand it. And he said, I don't care who they drafted. I wasn't here when it happened. I'm going with my guy. That's Foles' shot, and I think it would make sense for Nagy.
You know, it's interesting, Kyle, just to bring up once again here, that Fournette getting released and then went through waivers completely. The Jaguars had a shot at Mahomes and Watson, too. Just like the Bears, and the Bears getting so much grief. I just don't know if, again, Chicago's a different media market than obviously Duval County. But would the Bears take Fournette, do you think? What do you think?
I don't think so. It's fascinating to me, man, Rich, that Fournette is sitting at home right now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The guy had more yards than Dalvin Cook last year. He's 25. I think he's one of the 5 or 6 best college running backs I've ever seen. What he did to Auburn on that Saturday was a hilarious display. And he's been productive, and now nobody wants him. I don't think the Bears are interested because I don't think the Montgomery injury is that bad, and I think they're going to do some creative things in the meantime, and I just don't think they're into that business. These running backs, man, if Leonard Fournette was around in 1991, he'd be getting 30 carries a game and all the money in the world, and he'd be celebrated. And now unless you do crazy magical things like McCaffrey or Derrick Henry, it's just not happening. And all these guys, Saquon, Nick Chubb, all these guys coming down the pipe, Kamara, obviously, the teams are looking at them like, yeah, we just saw a Super Bowl in which the 2 running backs were Damian Williams and Raheem Mostert. So we're just getting a little cramp in our check writing hand right now, and I get it.
But now that he's gone through waivers, he is, one would say, dirt cheap. You know who would take? I think should take him. Steelers. Steelers should grab him right now.
I love it.
Steelers should grab him, and Tomlin should have him. Have him split carries with him. Exactly. I mean, the Titans already have Derrick Henry, and that I don't know. Maybe I guess that he could take the carries from Henry to make sure he doesn't get. But Henry's the type of guy is like, give me that 20th, give me that 30th carry because I'm tougher. And you're weaker because I've given you all I've gotten for 20, and I'm going to get stronger now. That Fournette, to me, in Pittsburgh, when it's going to get cold, and you need to make sure that Big Ben isn't throwing it 70 yards in the air and it's touchdown, and all of a sudden they're back on the field against the Ravens, right? Or if Big Ben isn't, if Big Ben does suffer the same fate as, say, Eli and then Phillip last year, and that's the 2 quarterbacks he's associated with for good reason. They drafted together. That there is a diminishing return factor for Ben, certainly coming off of that injury. Fournette with Connor and the rest of that crew, that's the old school Steelers stuff with the new school stuff that they're doing. And that defense, I think Fournette would put them in a great spot. And I think the fan base would go crazy for it. That's where I'm going with him.
Can I tell you something, Rich?
Please.
We're getting to the point of the year where we start to make your divisional predictions,
yes, sir.
Your Super Bowl prediction,
yes,
all that stuff. I got a special feeling about Pittsburgh this year. I'm in. I'm going to go big on Pittsburgh in my predictions.
When is that, next week?
They're going to do really special things.
Is that next week? For next week, you're keeping that?
Yeah, we usually. Well, I mean, on Good Morning Football, we do it the day of kickoff, so it'd be next Thursday. We come out and we say this team's going to win, and I very well may come out in a Roethlisberger or T.J. Watt jersey that day.
Okay,
I think they're going to be
that's what we call a tease. All right, before I let you go, Kyle, I'd like to spend just a couple minutes on our poll question here. Chris Brockman asked the poll question of Kyle Brandt of Good Morning Football and 10 questions with Kyle Brandt fans.
Kyle, my man, it is the 56th birthday today of Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
What's his best movie? Point Break, Speed, John Wick, The Matrix.
This is a great question. I celebrate the man's entire catalog. I'm the guy who's seen Little Buddha, Johnny Mnemonic, The Lake House. I remember he was in a Paula Abdul music video. They're all great. Here's the answer. Here's my answer to the question.
Yes.
I think that the best movie, if I'm going to go by the letter of the law, the best movie is The Matrix. However, the best Keanu Reeves experience at the Keanu Reeves Film Festival is definitely his role as Johnny Utah in Point Break. That is the tour de force, 1991. It's in a way like his rookie year. He just got pulled up to the majors in 91. Before that, he was doing little appearances in Parenthood. He shared the screen in Bill and Ted, and then 91 is his rookie year in the big leagues up from AAA. And him and Angelo Pappas, the great Gary Busey, out looking over the Hollywood Hills and just going at it, just chewing up scenery. It's as good as 1990s cinema gets. I will say Point Break in a runaway, 100% pure adrenaline.
Where do things currently rank right there?
I love it.
Chris.
Point Break is third right now at 20%.
The Matrix is going to win this.
Speed's at the bottom, 13%. We are neck and neck right now with over 5,000 votes. The Matrix, 34%.
Ooh.
John Wick, 33.2%.
Wow.
Rich, I think the movie that you have not seen, my personal guess, you said you hadn't seen one.
That is correct.
I think it's John Wick.
Okay, what do you think it is, Chris Brockman? What do you think?
You got kids at home.
Yep.
There's no way you've missed Point Break or The Matrix. No way.
Chris, what do you think?
You've never seen Jurassic Park, kind of in the same. I think you haven't seen Speed.
By the way, haven't seen Speed. I might have seen Speed the most out of all.
I was just going to say, I'm going Matrix.
To the point where I even gave Speed 2 a whirl.
Wow.
One of the worst worst sequels of all time.
Cruise Control.
Okay.
Yeah, not good.
Cruise Control. That's right. Cruise Control. That's right.
By the way.
On the boat.
My God. All right. I don't mean to disappoint you, but as you know, Chris, I rarely see the movie that you expect me to see the most. I have never seen Point Break.
Oh, my God. Be still my heart.
I know. I'm so sorry to disappoint you. Look at T.J. Jefferson.
It's not my disappointment. You would love it. You would love it so much. And Swayze is so cool, and Anthony Kiedis is there. It's an awesome machismo-packed sausage. It's so good.
McGinley's in it. Like, he
Johnny
is fantastic.
Get your damn act together.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. I appreciate that.
The closing credits of the film are the band Rat plays over it. It's not even Round and Round. It's like deep in their catalog. It's so 1991. Richard Hurts.
I know.
And I know you were loving life in '91.
No, I was a year out of college. I never saw it, and I need to fill that hole in my resume.
Please do.
But
Catherine Bigelow directed.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you, but I can't watch it with my kids, like filling the Sandlot hole by watching it with my children.
You can't watch
right?
it with your kids.
Yeah, I know. All right, very good. I'm sorry to everybody out there. I don't mean to disappoint. Play Kyle Brandt out, our new favorite drop from Jerry Jones, will you please? I think he'll enjoy this.
What do you got?
Here we go, Mike. This is from the other day. You got that?
No, hang on.
Mike, how do you not have it ready? You have it ready. You've been playing it as a non sequitur 15 times.
Because I edited it for that second drop, so hang on a second. Yeah, I can't do it quick enough. Sorry, Rich.
Do you have it or not?
Kyle's busy. Let's go.
I don't have it. I do not have it available.
You had it ready, literally. What do you got? Some sort of...
I edited it for the second drop. I'd have to re-edit it again.
What second drop?
Do you have J.J. Watt saying, let's play some tag?
Tell him, did you watch Ultimate Tag? Did you finish
up? Yeah, of course I watched after we talked, and he says it exactly like that, and he seems to say it 26 times before the first commercial break. It's awesome.
Okay. All right, Kyle. I'm sorry. Mike Del Tufo's had that drop literally ready. He's played it already four times today.
The entry point, so
he changed the entry point, Kyle. He's letting you know what's going on.
Del Tufo cannot see the Matrix, apparently. I'm sorry.
I can't enter.
One.
We'll just have to get it ready for you next week. Thanks for coming on, and I look forward to having you join this show on a frequent basis, sir. Thank you.
The Rich Eisen Show, the speeding bus that always stays above 50.
Appreciate.
Now that's a drop.
Well done, Kyle. You take care of yourself. That's Kyle Brandt. At Kyle Brandt on Twitter. 10 questions with Kyle Brandt from The Ringer and Spotify.